Dr. Samantha Chen squinted at the pulsating data stream on her monitor, her heart racing. After years of searching the cosmos for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, could this finally be it? The signal was unlike anything she'd ever seen, a complex, repeating pattern that defied natural explanation. "Dr. Roberts," she called out, her voice echoing through the cavernous control room of the Arecibo Observatory. "I think you need to see this." Her mentor hurried over, his weathered face creasing with concern as he leaned in to examine the readout. "My God," he whispered, "it's real. You've done it, Sam." Within hours, news of the discovery spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled to convene emergency meetings, religious leaders sought to reassure their followers, and social media exploded with speculation and conspiracy theories. Dr. Chen found herself thrust into the global spotlight, her face plastered across news channels worldwide as she attempted to explain the significance of the signal to a panicked public. "While we cannot yet decipher the exact meaning," she said during a UN press conference, her voice steady despite her nerves, "the complexity and regularity of the signal strongly suggest an artificial origin. We are not alone in the universe." As days turned to weeks, the signal grew stronger. Whatever was sending it was getting closer. Earth's greatest minds worked around the clock to decipher the message, but progress was frustratingly slow. Dr. Chen barely slept, subsisting on a diet of coffee and determination as she led the decryption efforts. It was a balmy night in July when everything changed. Samantha was hunched over her desk, eyes burning from staring at screens for too long, when alarms began blaring throughout the facility. She rushed to the main observatory, heart pounding. "It's entering our solar system," her colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, announced, voice trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. "ETA to Earth orbit, 6 hours." The next few hours were a blur of frantic preparation and last-minute negotiations between world leaders. When the alien ship finally appeared in Earth's sky, it was like nothing anyone had imagined. No flying saucer or sleek starfighter, but a vast, organic-looking structure that seemed to pulse with internal light. It hung there, silent and inscrutable, as humanity held its collective breath. Dr. Chen found herself aboard a hastily prepared shuttle, launching towards the alien vessel as Earth's designated ambassador. Her team had made a breakthrough in decoding the signal just hours before, giving them a rudimentary way to communicate. As they approached the massive ship, Samantha's mind raced with possibilities. What would these beings look like? What did they want? And most importantly, did they come in peace? The docking procedure was surprisingly smooth, guided by an unseen force that gently maneuvered their shuttle into a cavernous bay. As the airlock cycled, Samantha took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. The inner doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a corridor bathed in a soft, pulsating light. And there they were, aliens, real, honest-to-God extraterrestrials. They were tall, easily 7 feet, with sinuous bodies that seemed to shimmer and shift like liquid mercury. Multiple limbs, Samantha counted 6, moved with hypnotic grace. But it was their faces that captivated her, featureless save for 3 glowing orbs arranged in a triangle, which she assumed were eyes. Forcing herself to focus, Samantha stepped forward and activated the translation device her team had cobbled together. "Greetings," she said, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. "I am Dr. Samantha Chen, representing the people of Earth. We welcome you in peace and friendship." For a moment, there was silence. Then, a sound like chimes in the wind filled the air, and to Samantha's amazement, it resolved into words she could understand. "We are the Zaki," the lead alien responded, its body pulsing with each syllable. "We have journeyed far, driven by great need. Your world holds the key to our survival." Samantha's breath caught in her throat. This was it, first contact, the moment that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. But the alien's words sent a chill down her spine. What did they mean by need? And what key did Earth possess that was so vital to their survival? As if sensing her unease, the alien continued, its tone taking on an edge that needed no translation. We had hoped to find willing partners, but we are prepared to take what we require by force if necessary. The choice, Dr. Samantha Chen of Earth, is yours. In that moment, as she stood facing an advanced alien species with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance, Samantha realized that everything, her years of study, her relentless pursuit of knowledge, her deepest hopes and fears, had led her to this point. She was the bridge between two worlds, and what she did next would shape the future of both species. Drawing herself up to her full height, Samantha met the alien's gaze steadily. "Before any decisions are made," she said, her voice stronger than she felt, "we need to understand each other better. Tell me about your people, about your need. Let's see if we can find a solution that benefits us both." The alien seemed to consider her words, its body rippling in what Samantha hoped was a sign of agreement. "Very well," it said finally. "We will share our story. But be warned, Dr. Chen, the clock is ticking, and we cannot afford to waste time on futile negotiations." As Samantha prepared herself to hear the alien's tale, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a journey that would test the very limits of human ingenuity and compassion. Whatever came next, one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again. The ultimatum. The Zaki homeworld, Samantha learned, was dying. Their star had entered an unexpected phase of rapid expansion, scorching their planet and forcing their civilization to the brink of extinction. They had spent centuries searching for a compatible world, and Earth was their last hope. "Our scientists have determined that your planet possesses a unique combination of elements crucial for our survival," the Zaki leader, who called itself Anthor, explained. Its body pulsed with a sickly light that Samantha interpreted as distress. "We require vast quantities of these elements to stabilize our own world and ensure the continuation of our species." Samantha's mind raced. What elements exactly? And in what quantities? She asked, already dreading the answer. Anthor's response confirmed her fears. The aliens needed resources in amounts that would devastate Earth's ecosystems if extracted. Worse, some of the elements they required were rare and vital to human technology and medicine. "We understand this request may cause hardship for your people," Anthor said, its tone neutral. "But surely you see that the survival of an entire species outweighs the temporary discomfort of yours. We possess technology far beyond your current capabilities. In exchange for these resources, we offer to share some of our advancements with you." Samantha fought to keep her expression neutral. "I appreciate your openness, Anthor. However, I'm not authorized to make decisions of this magnitude on behalf of my entire species. I need to consult with Earth's leaders and experts." Anthor's body rippled in what Samantha was beginning to recognize as frustration. "Time is not a luxury we possess, Dr. Chen. We will grant you 72 of your Earth hours to reach a decision. If we do not receive a satisfactory response by then, we will have no choice but to take what we need by force." The journey back to Earth was tense. As soon as she landed, Samantha was whisked away to a secure facility where world leaders had gathered. The next 48 hours were a blur of debriefings, strategy sessions, and heated arguments. "We can't possibly give them what they're asking for," the US president insisted. "It would cripple our economy and set human progress back by decades." "And if we refuse," the Chinese premier countered, "you've seen the reports on their technological capabilities. We wouldn't stand a chance in open conflict." Round and round the arguments went, with Samantha providing what insights she could. But as the deadline loomed closer, they seemed no nearer to a solution. It was during a rare moment of quiet that inspiration struck. Samantha had retreated to a small office, poring over the data the Zaki had provided about their homeworld. Something about the elemental composition they needed nagged at her. "Dr. Roberts," she called, summoning her mentor who had been brought in as an advisor. "Look at this. The combination of elements thereafter. Doesn't it remind you of something?" The older scientist peered at the screen, his eyes widening. "Good Lord," he breathed. "It's similar to the theoretical composition of Off the Earth's core, Samantha finished. What if we're looking at this all wrong? What if instead of stripping our planet, we help them stabilize theirs using the same principles that keep Earth habitable? The next few hours were a frenzy of calculations and hypothetical models. When Samantha presented their findings to the world leaders, she could see a glimmer of hope in their eyes for the first time since the crisis began. As the 72-hour deadline neared its end, Samantha once again found herself face-to-face with Thanthor aboard the alien ship. This time, however, she wasn't alone. A team of Earth's top scientists accompanied her, armed with data and a daring proposal. "We cannot give you what you've asked for," Samantha began, sensing the immediate tension in the alien's posture. However, she continued quickly, "We believe we found an alternative solution that could save your world without destroying ours." She laid out their proposal, a joint mission to stabilize the Zaki homeworld using principles derived from Earth's own geological processes. It would require sharing of knowledge and technology from both sides, and it was not without risks. But if successful, it could ensure the survival of both species. Thanthor and the other Zaki were silent for what felt like an eternity. Finally, the alien leader spoke. "Your proposal is unexpected. It will require careful consideration." "I understand," Samantha replied. "But please remember, cooperation between our species offers opportunities that go beyond mere survival. Together, we could achieve things neither of us could dream of alone." As she spoke, Samantha realized the truth of her own words. This crisis, as terrifying as it was, also represented an unprecedented opportunity for humanity to leap forward in its understanding of the universe. Thanthor's body pulsed with a new pattern, one Samantha hadn't seen before. "You continue to surprise us, Dr. Chen. Very well. We will extend the deadline by another Earth week to fully evaluate your proposal. But be warned, if we find it lacking, we will proceed with our original plan." As Samantha and her team prepared to return to Earth to continue their work, she felt a mix of hope and trepidation. They had bought some time, but the real challenge was just beginning. Could humanity rise to the occasion and find a way to save not just one world, but two? The fate of Earth, and perhaps the future of interstellar relations, now rested on the shoulders of scientists like her. As she glanced back at the massive alien ship hovering in Earth's orbit, Samantha squared her shoulders. Whatever came next, she was ready to face it head-on. Unlikely alliance. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. A joint task force was established, combining the brightest minds from Earth with a select group of Zaki scientists. Their mission: to develop a viable plan for stabilizing the alien homeworld without compromising Earth's integrity. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the heart of this unprecedented collaboration, working closely with a Zaki scientist named Zaxilor. Unlike the imposing Thanthor, Zaxilor seemed genuinely curious about humans and their ways of thinking. "Your species approaches problems so differently from ours," Zaxilor observed one day, its body shimmering with what Samantha had come to recognize as excitement. "We seek to control and reshape. You adapt." Samantha smiled, feeling a warmth towards the alien that surprised her. Necessity is the mother of invention, as we say. We have to learn to work with what we have. Their days were filled with intense discussions, complex simulations, and frequent cultural misunderstandings. The Zaki concept of time, for instance, was radically different from the human linear perception. This led to some frustrating scheduling conflicts until Samantha devised a hybrid system that satisfied both species. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Tensions ran high, especially when discussing the potential risks to Earth. During one particularly heated exchange, a human scientist accused the Zaki of being willing to sacrifice Earth to save their own world. Zaxilor's body flashed with a pattern Samantha hadn't seen before. Was it shame? "You must understand," it said softly, "we have watched our children wither and die as our world burns. We are desperate, yes, but we do not wish to cause the same pain to another species." The room fell silent. It was a stark reminder of the real stakes behind their scientific endeavors. Samantha felt a lump in her throat as she imagined the suffering the Zaki must have endured. As the days passed, Samantha found herself growing closer to Zaxelor. They would often work late into the night, bouncing ideas off each other and making breakthroughs that neither could have achieved alone. She was fascinated by the alien's perspective on the universe, so different from her own yet complementary in unexpected ways. One evening, as they watched a sunset together, a sight that filled Zaxelor with wonder, Samantha realized for the start that she was developing feelings for the alien scientist. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Was it even possible for two beings from different worlds to connect on such a level? Their personal bond was mirrored by growing cooperation between their species. The combined human-Zaki team made rapid progress, developing a plan that seemed both ambitious and achievable. By harnessing the geothermal energy of the Zaki homeworld and introducing carefully calculated amounts of Earth elements, they believed they could stabilize the planet's core and restore its protective magnetic field. But just as hope began to blossom, disaster struck. A series of explosions rocked the research facility, destroying key equipment and injuring several team members. As alarms blared and smoke filled the air, Samantha's first thought was for Zaxelor's safety. She found the alien helping evacuate injured humans, its normally shimmering body dulled with what she guessed was concern. "Samantha," Zaxelor called out, genuine relief in its voice. "Are you unharmed?" Before she could respond, security forces swarmed the area. To Samantha's shock, they began roughly separating humans from Zaki, weapons trained on the aliens. "What's going on?" she demanded, placing herself protectively in front of Zaxelor. A grim-faced military officer approached. "Dr. Chen, please step aside. We have evidence that this attack was perpetrated by Zaki extremists. All aliens are to be detained for questioning." Samantha's mind reeled. Could it be true? She looked at Zaxelor, searching for any sign of deception. The alien's body pulsed with a pattern she recognized as distress and confusion. "This is a mistake," Zaxelor insisted. "We have worked too hard, come too far to sabotage our efforts now." But the officer was unmoved. As Zaxelor was led away, Samantha felt as if her world was crumbling around her. Everything they had worked for, the trust they had built, was it all for nothing? In the chaos that followed, disturbing reports began to surface. Some claimed that human extremist groups were behind the attack, aiming to derail the collaboration with the aliens. Others insisted it was a false flag operation by the Zaki, a prelude to a full-scale invasion. As accusations flew back and forth, the fragile alliance between humans and Zaki began to unravel. Samantha watched in despair as weeks of progress threatened to dissolve into mistrust and hostility. But she wasn't ready to give up. Not on the mission, not on the possibility of peaceful coexistence between their species, and certainly not on Zaxelor. As she stood amidst the smoking ruins of the research facility, Samantha made a decision. She would get to the bottom of this, clear Zaxelor's name, and salvage their work, no matter the cost. Little did she know that this determination would soon lead her on a journey more perilous and transformative than she could have ever imagined. As she set out to uncover the truth, the fate of two worlds hung in the balance, with Samantha and Zaxelor caught in the crossfire of forces that would stop at nothing to keep them apart. Betrayal and survival. The days following the attack were a blur of interrogations, accusations, and mounting tensions. Despite Samantha's protests, Zaxelor and the other Zaki scientists remained in custody. The fragile trust between the two species was stretched to its breaking point. Determined to uncover the truth, Samantha threw herself into investigating the incident. She pored over security footage, analyzed debris from the explosion, and called in favors from colleagues across the globe. Slowly, a disturbing picture began to emerge. It wasn't the Zaki, she announced to a room full of skeptical military and government officials. And it wasn't human extremists either. The attack was orchestrated by a group with access to both human and Zaki technology. Her revelation was met with disbelief and suspicion, but before she could present her evidence, alarms blared throughout the facility. The Zaki ship, still in orbit, was powering up its weapons systems. In the chaos that followed, Samantha managed to fight her way to where Zaxlor was being held. As she input the override code to release the alien, explosions rocked the building. "We need to get to the ship," Zaxlor said urgently, its body pulsing with a mixture of fear and determination. "Something is very wrong." They raced through collapsing corridors, dodging falling debris and panicked personnel. Just as they reached the hangar bay, a familiar figure stepped out of the shadows. "Dr. Chen," Gamfor's voice was cold. "I'm disappointed. We had such hopes for your species." Realization dawned on Samantha. "It was you," she gasped. "You orchestrated all of this. Why?" The Zaki leader's body rippled with what might have been amusement. "Our need is too great to be bound by the niceties of diplomacy. We will take what we require, with or without your cooperation." Before either Samantha or Zaxlor could react, Xanthor activated some kind of device. A blinding light enveloped them, and Samantha felt the world slip away. She awoke to the gentle hum of machinery. Opening her eyes, she found herself in a small, pod-like craft. Zaxlor was slumped beside her, its usual shimmer dim but present. "Zaxlor," she shook the alien gently. "Wake up. Where are we?" The Zaki scientist stirred slowly. "Escape pod," it mumbled. "Emergency protocol. But something's wrong. We're off course." A quick check of the pod's systems confirmed Zaxlor's assessment. They were hurtling through space, far from both Earth and the Zaki homeworld. Worse, their life support systems were damaged, with only a few days of breathable atmosphere remaining. "Can we turn back?" Samantha asked, trying to keep the panic from her voice. Zaxlor's body pulsed weakly. "Not enough fuel, but there's a planet within range. Inhospitable by both our standards, but it's our only choice." The next few days were a grueling test of survival. They crash-landed on a world of harsh extremes, scorching days, freezing nights, and an atmosphere barely breathable for either species. Each day was a struggle to find food, water, and shelter while they worked to repair their damaged communications system. But in this crucible of hardship, something remarkable happened. Samantha and Zaxlor's bond deepened, transcending the boundaries of their different biologies. They learned to communicate without words, anticipating each other's needs and combining their unique strengths to overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. One night, as they huddled together for warmth in a makeshift shelter, Zaxlor's body began to pulse with a pattern Samantha had never seen before. "What's happening?" she asked, concerned. "It's difficult to explain." Zaxlor's voice was hesitant. "In your terms, I believe you would call it love." Samantha's heart raced. I feel it too," she admitted. "But how is this possible? We're so different." Zaxlor's body shimmered softly. "Perhaps not as different as we thought. In the face of adversity, we have found a connection that transcends physical form. Is that not the essence of love?" Their moment of revelation was interrupted by a sudden beeping from their jury-rigged communications device. They had finally managed to boost the signal enough to scan their surroundings. What they discovered changed everything. "This can't be right," Samantha muttered, rechecking the readings. "According to this, there's a massive source of the elements the Zaki need, right beneath us." Zaxlor confirmed her findings, its body pulsing with excitement. "It's true. This planet, it's a treasure trove of the very resources we've been seeking. Enough to save our world without harming yours." As the implications sank in, Samantha felt a mix of hope and dread. This discovery could save both their worlds, but it also meant that Xanthor's betrayal had been utterly unnecessary. How many had suffered or died because of the Zaki leader's impatience and distrust? "We need to get this information back to Earth and your people," Samantha said firmly. "We can stop this conflict before it's too late." Zaxlor agreed, but there was a problem. Their pod was beyond repair, and their distress signal was too weak to reach either of their homeworlds. There is one possibility, Zaxlor said hesitantly, but it's dangerous, and I'm not sure how it might affect a human physiology. The alien explained a Zaki technique for boosting neural energy to power communications devices. It was risky under the best circumstances, potentially fatal in their current conditions. Samantha listened, her scientific mind racing through the possibilities and dangers. But in the end, her decision was driven by something beyond logic, her trust in Zaxlor and her determination to save both their worlds. "Let's do it," she said, taking Zaxlor's alien hand in her own. Together. As they began the dangerous procedure, neither of them could have predicted the true magnitude of what they were about to unleash. For in combining their minds to send a message across the stars, Samantha and Zaxlor were about to stumble upon a discovery that would reshape the very foundations of both their civilizations. The fate of two worlds now rested not just on the information they carried, but on the unprecedented bond between human and alien that had flourished against all odds. Race against time. The alien landscape blurred around Samantha as she and Zaxlor raced across the harsh terrain. Their desperate attempt to boost their neural energy had worked, perhaps too well. They had managed to send a brief message to both Earth and the Zaki homeworld, but the effort had also triggered an unexpected psychic link between them. Now Samantha found herself experiencing flashes of Zaxlor's memories and emotions, while the alien seemed equally affected by her human consciousness. It was disorienting, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. "We need to reach higher ground," Zaxlor communicated, its thoughts flowing directly into Samantha's mind. The signal was too weak. They'll need a stronger transmission to understand the full situation. Samantha nodded, conserving her breath in the thin atmosphere. She could sense Zaxlor's urgency, tinged with a deep worry for its people. Through their new connection, she understood the Zaki's desperation in a way mere words could never have conveyed. As they climbed a steep incline, Samantha suddenly doubled over, hit by a wave of nausea. Zaxlor was at her side instantly, its shimmering form radiating concern. "Samantha, what's wrong?" She shook her head, trying to clear the dizziness. "I don't know. I've been feeling off since we did the neural boost. It's probably just the alien atmosphere." But Zaxlor wasn't convinced. Its body pulsed for the pattern Samantha now recognized as deep concentration. Through their link, she could feel the alien analyzing her biosigns with its advanced senses. Suddenly, Zaxlor went still. "Impossible," it whispered. "What? What is it?" Samantha demanded, fear creeping into her voice. Zaxlor's next words hit her like a physical blow. "Samantha, you're pregnant." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. That's not possible," Samantha stammered. "We're different species. It shouldn't." But even as she spoke, she knew it was true. She could feel the changes in her body, the new life growing within her, a perfect fusion of human and Zaki DNA. "The neural boost," Zaxlor said, its mental voice filled with awe. "It must have aligned our genetic structures somehow. This is unprecedented." Samantha's scientific mind raced through the implications even as her emotions whirled in chaos. A hybrid child, the first of its kind in the known universe. What would this mean for their peoples, for the future of interspecies relations? But they had no time to process this earth-shattering news. The sound of engines overhead snapped them back to their immediate crisis. Ships were entering the atmosphere, both human and Zaki designs. "They're here," Zaxlor said grimly, "and I doubt they've come in peace." They redoubled their pace, scrambling up the rocky slope towards the planet's highest peak. If they could just reach the powerful mineral deposits at the top, they might be able to boost their signal enough to broadcast the truth to both fleets. As they climbed, the first shots were fired in the skies above. The conflict they had feared had begun, with both sides believing they were fighting to save their worlds. "We have to hurry," Samantha gasped, one hand instinctively going to her abdomen. She was no longer just fighting for two worlds, but for the future her unborn child represented, a future of unity and understanding between their species. They reached the summit just as the battling ships entered the lower atmosphere. Zaxlor immediately began reconfiguring their makeshift transmitter, its multiple limbs working with incredible speed. "It's not strong enough," the alien said, frustration coloring its thoughts. "We need more power." Samantha looked at the warring ships, then back at Zaxlor. An idea formed in her mind. Dangerous, potentially fatal, but possibly their only hope. "Use me," she said firmly. "Use our connection, my human brainwaves, your Zarkai energy. Together." Zaxlor's body rippled with alarm. "No, the strain could kill you both." Its limb gestured towards her midsection, acknowledging their miraculous child. But Samantha stood firm. "If we don't do this, none of us have a future. Please, Zaxlor, trust me." For a moment, the alien was silent. Then, with a pulse of deep love and admiration flowing through their link, it nodded. They joined hands, focusing their combined mental energy on the transmitter. Pain lanced through Samantha's head as they pushed beyond all natural limits. But through the agony, she felt something else, a sense of vast potential, of barriers breaking down, not just between her and Zaxlor, but on a cosmic scale. In that moment of ultimate connection, a blast of pure information erupted from their makeshift device. It carried not just data about the mineral-rich planet and Xanthor's betrayal, but the very essence of Samantha and Zaxlor's journey, their fears, their hopes, their love, and the new life they had created together. The effect was immediate and profound. Across both fleets, beings of two worlds found themselves suddenly, shockingly aware of each other's deepest truths. The fighting stopped as if a switch had been flipped, replaced by a stunned silence. As the energy wave dissipated, Samantha collapsed into Zaxlor's arms, physically and mentally exhausted. But even as darkness crept into her vision, she saw ships from both sides landing around them. Not with weapons drawn, but with expressions of wonder and extended hands of peace. Their ordeal wasn't over. There would be much to explain, diplomatic hurdles to overcome, and the small matter of an unprecedented pregnancy to deal with. But in that moment, cradled in the arms of her alien love, Samantha knew that everything had changed. They had done it. They had saved both worlds. And in doing so, they had opened the door to a future brighter than either species had dared to imagine. As she drifted into unconsciousness, Samantha's last thought was of the child growing within her, a living bridge between two worlds, and a symbol of hope for the entire universe. A new future. Samantha Chen awoke to the soft hum of advanced medical equipment. As her eyes fluttered open, she found herself in a room that blended human and Zaki design, a perfect metaphor for the new reality she had helped create. "Welcome back," a familiar voice said. Zaxlor shimmered into view, its body pulsing with what Samantha now recognized as joy and relief. "How long was I out?" she asked, her voice hoarse. 3 Earth weeks, Zaxlor replied, gently taking her hand. There was concern, but you and the child are both strong. The events on the alien planet came rushing back to Samantha. Their desperate gambit, the psychic broadcast, and the revelation of her unprecedented pregnancy. She instinctively placed a hand on her abdomen, marveling at the life growing within her. A perfect fusion of human and Zaki. "What happened after we sent the message?" she asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Zaxlor's body rippled with a complex series of emotions. It was chaotic at first. The sudden influx of shared experiences and emotions overwhelmed both sides. But it also brought understanding. The fighting stopped almost immediately. Over the next few hours, Zaxlor filled Samantha in on the events of the past weeks. Xanthor and its co-conspirators had been apprehended, facing justice from both species for their attempted deception. The mineral-rich planet they had discovered was now the site of a joint human Zaki research base, with teams working together to harness its resources in a way that would benefit both worlds. But the most significant change was in the relationship between humans and Zaki. The psychic broadcast had shattered preconceptions on both sides, fostering a level of empathy and understanding that would have taken generations to develop otherwise. "Your pregnancy has become a symbol," Zaxlo said, its tone a mixture of pride and concern, "a living embodiment of what our species can achieve together." Samantha felt a wave of anxiety, no pressure her. Zaxlo's body shimmered in what she now recognized as gentle amusement. "Indeed, but you won't face this alone. I will be with you every step of the way, if you'll have me." Tears welled in Samantha's eyes as she squeezed Zaxlo's hand. "There's no one else I'd rather have by my side." The following months were a whirlwind of medical checkups, diplomatic meetings, and groundbreaking scientific collaborations. Samantha found herself at the center of it all, not just as the mother of the first human-Zaki hybrid, but as a key figure in fostering cooperation between the two species. Teams of human and Zaki scientists worked tirelessly to ensure the health of Samantha and her unborn child. The pregnancy itself became a catalyst for advancements in xenobiology and genetics, opening up new frontiers of medical science that benefited both species. As Samantha's due date approached, excitement and tension mounted across two worlds. The birth of this child would be more than just a scientific miracle. It would be a powerful symbol of the new era of interspecies cooperation. When the day finally arrived, it was nothing like anyone had anticipated. The labor was long and complicated, pushing the boundaries of both human and Zaki medical knowledge. But throughout it all, Samantha felt Zaxlo's unwavering support, both physically and through their unique psychic bond. After hours of intense effort, a cry pierced the air, a sound that was neither fully human nor Zaki, but something beautifully in between. Samantha looked down at the child in her arms, marveling at its shimmering skin and eyes that seemed to hold the depths of the cosmos. "She's perfect," Zaxlo whispered, its body pulsing with pure love. News of the successful birth spread rapidly across both worlds. Celebrations erupted in cities on Earth and the Zaki homeworld alike. The child, whom they named Aurora, after the dawn of this new era, became an instant celebrity and a living testament to the potential of interspecies harmony. In the years that followed, Samantha, Zaxlo, and Aurora found themselves at the forefront of a rapidly changing universe. The alliance between humans and Zaki flourished, leading to advancements that neither species could have achieved alone. The mineral-rich planet where Samantha and Zaxlo had made their stand became a thriving colony, a place where humans and Zaki lived and worked side by side. It was there that they chose to make their home, raising Aurora in an environment that celebrated the best of both worlds. As Aurora grew, she displayed remarkable abilities, a blend of human creativity and Zaki perception that opened up entirely new avenues of scientific and philosophical inquiry. She became a bridge not just between two species, but between ways of thinking and perceiving the universe. 20 years after that fateful first contact, Samantha stood on the observation deck of a joint human-Zaki starship, preparing to embark on a mission of exploration to the far reaches of the galaxy. Beside her, Zaxlo's shimmering form pulsed with excitement, and there at the helm sat Aurora, now a young adult, ready to lead both species into a future filled with endless possibilities. As the ship prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Samantha reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. It had begun with fear and misunderstanding, nearly ending in conflict. But through courage, compassion, and an unexpected love, they had forged a new path, one that promised a brighter future not just for humans and Zaki, but for all the diverse species they had yet to encounter. The stars beckoned, holding untold wonders and challenges. But whatever lay ahead, Samantha knew that they would face it together, as a family, as a united species, and as pioneers of a new age of cosmic cooperation. As the ship surged forward into the unknown, Samantha felt a sense of profound gratitude and hope. They had rewritten the stars, proving that even in the vastness of space, the power of understanding and love could bridge any distance. The adventure, she realized, was only just beginning.